While Canadians ride this emotional roller coaster of tariff terms that seem to keep changing, Ottawa is looking for ways to boost our economy within our borders. On Wednesday, the federal government and the provinces set a new deadline to implement a Canada-wide credential recognition program. Officials say this move marks a key step in making it easier for Canadians to do business with each other. Anita Anand, the Federal Minister of Transport and Internal Trade, is back in our studio. Good morning and welcome.
Great to be here with you, Anne-Marie.
Well, welcome back to the studio. Welcome back to running for politics whenever the election comes. Listen, Feb 5th, you were asked if you could make moves on interprovincial trade barriers within 30 days, which would bring us to where the tariff deadline was. Yesterday, we learned that you guys have signed this new deadline, June the 1st, for this credential program. In the next 3 months, what are the barriers that still need to be dissolved?
Well, you're right. We're within our 30-day time period that we set, but let's just take a step back and think about the constitutional structure of our country. The Constitution gives the provinces and territories the ability to develop their local economies. And what that means is that there are differing rules in each province and territory for labor to move and for goods to be transported across borders. And so what this agreement does with the provinces is say, we're breaking down those barriers to trade. We're going to be able to add up to $200 billion to the Canadian economy without even going through Donald Trump. That's the positive message from yesterday's statement.
Listen, people always have this question about why did it take so long, and we've learned a little bit about why it takes so long. Every province is a bit protectionist of themselves, right? They've got their own rules in place.
The local economy.
The local economy. They have not wanted Ottawa involved in this process before. That has significantly changed. So what industries are we going to see benefit from this new June 1st deadline?
Well, let's take a look at alcohol. We are having now a pan-Canadian market for alcohol. It's going to be much easier to buy alcohol made out of province in home jurisdictions. And that is a positive. It's what Canadians have been focusing on. And this is going to be in play within the next few months.
Just back to my first question, what are the barriers? Which provinces are we going to hit some sticking points and some roadblocks?
Well, Newfoundland and Prince Edward Island decided not to sign on to the free trade in alcohol idea. We're hoping they'll come along once they see that all the other provinces and territories have signed up. We're looking for more free movement of goods across sectors, not only alcohol, and on the labor side, making it easier so that you don't have to reapply for your credentials and your permits if you simply want to move provinces, join your family, or follow demand.
Listen, June 1st is only 3 months away, but we are looking potentially at tariffs within, 30 days, 2 weeks, depending on what we're talking about. So how much money are we going to lose between March and June 1st when things can start flowing? It's a lot of money that is not heading south of the border.
Yes, it is. But we've already begun the process of implementing freer trade within Canada. For example, the federal government is getting rid of over half of the exceptions in the Canadian Free Trade Agreement. It's going to be easier to bid on federal procurement contracts. It's going to reduce the duplication in financial services. That's already underway. This is a process that we're moving. We have a pilot project in trucking that started last September. So we've been working on this. I've been working on this for many months now, and this is now work that's accelerated.
Okay, I want to talk about your work. There's been a lot of change for the Liberals in the last few weeks. We have seen that they have caught up in their numbers in terms of polling. You've announced that you are coming back to run in this next federal election. So we have this large amount of change that's happening. You said when you decided to come back that now was the time to fight for Canada and that you wanted to serve your country. But why wasn't a month ago the time to stand up and to fight for your country?
So when I made that decision, Donald Trump had not been inaugurated. The tariff
we knew the tariffs were coming
of 25% was not in place in a visceral way, and we also did not see the movement on internal barriers to trade, which I've been actively leading. So all of those leadership roles on the Canada-US front and on the internal barriers to trade front are ones that I found myself integrally involved in, and it's a moment where patriotism must be the deciding factor. We're all fighting for our country. We're buying Canadian. We're supporting Canada. We're hiring Canadian. We're traveling in Canada. And I am motivated to continue this fight.
But you were also very motivated to exit your position, to head to the U of T. You put out this big announcement. You know, the Liberals are up in the polls. This fight was going to be happening with Donald Trump before January 20th. He made the announcements. So why now? Why was now the time to come back?
I don't think it's any secret that everyone wants to do their part for Canada and fight their hardest. And also, it is not the case that Oakville is an easy riding to win. It's a bellwether riding. I'm going to have to fight really hard to. So the goal is to keep our elbows up, to make sure we are fighting for Canada, and that's exactly what I'm doing every day on the front lines for this country.
Okay. Canadians are looking for some certainty right now, so I'm going to ask you a question that is not Donald Trump dependent. This is Liberal Party dependent. The Prime Minister was asked this week if power will happen. We've got the leadership race happening on Sunday. He has said he's going to hand down, but he didn't give a clear answer as to when that will happen. When will Canadians know who the new Prime Minister, and we know when the leadership race will be announced, but when will this transition of power happen?
So March 9th in the evening, we will hear who the next Prime Minister of Canada is, and the leader of the Liberal Party. Then I expect the transition between the current sitting Prime Minister and the newly elected Prime Minister and leader of the Liberal Party is, and the decision will be made amongst those two individuals. There will need to be a new with the Governor General, I understand, and that also will need to be scheduled. So logistics-wise, there's much to come next week, and I'm very to be in attendance.
Last question, again, not Donald Trump dependent, is when can Canadians expect an election?
Well, you can see MPs across the country gearing up right now, just in case it's called. I will say that the very latest date will be October 2025. That's institute, but
Minister of Transport and Internal Trade. Anita, I'm answer on those two things that I wanted to write in my calendar, but we appreciate you being here.